Views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robin are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robin on the mic.
Welcome to Lisa and Robin on the mic. You are listening on WSMN 1590 AM 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. Welcome to a pre-Halloween Thursday.
Happy Halloween Eve. I can hear myself.
You can't hear yourself? I can hear you perfect.
Yeah.
I can hear you perfect.
It's my hat.
It's the hat. It's the wig. Guys, we are so excited. This is one episode you're going to have to go and view on YouTube.
Yes.
We'll send some pictures to Instagram and Facebook shortly, but we are decked out with Jennifer Carey. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you. It's
Jen
great to
in
be
the
back.
This was your idea, and we are having so much fun.
I love it.
So tell us what you proposed for your second showing with Lisa
Yes.
on the mic.
When I realized that the second time I was going to be on here was the day before Halloween, and I remembered how much you loved internal family systems
Yes.
when I was on here the first time, I thought, let's bring them together. And let's dress up like our inner parts, the parts of our internal family system. And so here we are, dressed up.
And
like
Jen,
our parts.
you are.
So I chose two parts that, thankfully, through therapy, I'll plug my therapist, Kira Pullig, is amazing. I've really brought closer together, and we'll talk about that. But these two parts were definitely polarized in my system. So they were opposing and created tension and anxiety. One, and I can talk more about that later if you want, but one is people pleaser. So whenever I picture this part of me, she's like a Catholic schoolgirl. So I've got the pigtails, and I know you can't see me, but I have a plaid skirt on and the white shirt, and I'm like just this schoolgirl trying to please everyone around her. The other one, you see my tiara, and I've got a little sash here, is my queen boss. So that part wants to be clear, assertive, tell people to do things, which makes people pleaser cringe because she doesn't want to seem like a burden or put anybody out. So those
I also
are two.
feel like the queen is partially ruling, like taking charge, making
Yes.
decisions, making rules, where the pleaser is like, I'll go along to get along.
100%.
So I love your costume.
Thank you.
Robin.
Well, I am an inner critic. And what was my other one?
Confidence.
Confidence,
And like
so-
exuberance.
Director.
Yes.
So director, and that was my inner critic.
Mm-hmm.
Is the one that was always judging myself. And then there's this bold side of me. So I don't know if it's not really queen boss.
No, it's just
But
wanting
it's confidence.
Yes.
But
It's
even
more
when
the
you don't
Marilyn
feel it,
Monroe.
so there's a duality
Yes.
that you struggle with because you have this belief in your system, but at the same time you're always criticizing. I'm criticizing myself.
Yes.
Yes. And she's dressed as Marilyn Monroe for the confidence that exudes and, just takes control. And then she
the
has
judge,
the
too.
director.
We lost my take one, take two.
Yeah, we did a
don't know where
director's
that one
cut
is.
thing, and we don't know where that was. We knew it was in the back of my trunk for about a year.
Yeah.
And now I have no idea where it is.
John probably like, what is this?
What is
Just
this?
throw it
this
out.
away.
Okay, so tell us, who are you?
I know.
So I am a very controversial figure.
Yes.
So I am a carpenter because I fix things, right? But I am the Catholic this is the part of me that I wanted to talk about today. And it was partially, because Jen gave me permission, but I'm a little Jesus. So Jesus was a carpenter, and I'm not making fun of Jesus, but he is the sacrificial piece. And sometimes the fixer and the problem solver is great because they're fixing and solving problems. And other times, And I wonder how much of this comes from my Catholic upbringing, that there was a sacrificial lamb.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how much of the fixer sacrifices themselves to fix a problem. So I thought, what a cool concept to talk about and explore today.
Yes.
And I think, we can talk a little bit about, where that stuff forms or where you get your ideas, and then what happens maybe in the neuroscience of if you get too obsessed to be a certain thing, like your identity is in something, what you sacrifice for that, to serve that. And I have a fantastic wig and a fantastic
Yes,
beard
you do.
with a mustache that I am going to just constantly touch and
Just
appropriately.
rub.
Oh, I'm all, and I have my little tool belts and I have my hammer because I'm going to,
I think we should
Make
stop
something.
waxing and grow our mustaches out.
well, I was just
I
thinking.
wish mine twirled at the ends a
I
little.
know.
I looked for those, but they didn't have it. Big one.
So if I sound weird, it's because my lips keep being smashed together by this beard mustache.
I want to see how you eat lunch.
Not well. There's going to be a lot. I'm going to be like, a bird's going to live in my beard and just come out and take the crumbs that I
debris.
constantly drop into it,
Don't eat popcorn. You'll have like picking kernels out.
flinging them
pieces.
off
All
to the
day.
side.
All day long.
But you are rocking that auburn hair. I'm like,
Oh,
that is you. You wear wigs well.
I do, and it's funny when I wear a wig. I love a Halloween wig, and when I do, I just feel like everyone supervise me. So
Yes.
I need to have supervision at all times.
You're going to save the world today.
Yes.
Today,
Yes. Not tomorrow, but today.
not by nailing myself up to a cross, though. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the work you've done and how you've come to this. And
Yes, yeah. So one of the most important parts of IFS and exploring our inner world is the awareness, is bringing it to awareness, bringing it to understanding, right? Understanding the part, maybe where it came from, what its role is, what its purpose is, and then the connection. So the relationship. So that's what we're doing today, right? We're bringing our parts to awareness. We're understanding them a little bit more through this amazing, playful expression, and then hopefully connecting with them as well. Because they, like you were saying, Lisa, they all have good parts, right? There's sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not, right? And being able to pull what works and work on the things that doesn't.
And so when you, we're talking IFS is internal family systems, and it's all of the parts of us. And the parts of us that we develop maybe out of survival or because we had a certain scenario and we found that this is the way, whether we had tools or didn't have tools. And then there's the parts of us that exist underneath before societal conditioning and before like the world gets a hold of us.
Yes.
And so tell us about your two piece. Do you think the people pleaser was something innate in you, or do you think that's something that developed in you?
Wow, that's a great question. So my people pleaser, I think, was started in my family of origin. I was the youngest of 4, and they were all teenagers when I was kind of growing in my childhood. So I think I quickly took on a role of like, let's just make things better for everyone. There was a lot of turmoil. And so I think it was there, but then it was fostered in school. It was rewarded in school if you were a good citizen and things like that. And I've really learned to love that part, right? People pleaser balanced is a very thoughtful, considerate, kind part. It's just when it's to an extreme, when I'm almost what you were saying about your part, when I sacrifice myself or what I want to please someone else and I put others first to the detriment of myself. That's when, she's in an extreme role and have to work to kind of get her more balanced. Queen Boss, I think that came out of the people pleaser isn't working anymore. It's not working in leadership positions. It's not working in overall life. I need to have a little bit more voice. I need to be able to be clear in certain situations. We need other people. People pleaser is very much independent when you think about it, because all these parts reflect society too, right? We could look at our parts as like different cultures or subcultures or family members or friends. Like it's our internal system reflects the external. So, I think our society really promotes independence, and that's people pleaser. You don't want to be a burden. You want to do it all on your own. Where Queen Boss is kind of like, no, we need a team and we need to divide and conquer. So I think,
and we need a hierarchy of who's doing what and how it's working and how the group works together.
Yes.
Into each other, and someone does have to take. I don't think we acknowledge enough that hierarchies have a point.
Mm-hmm.
And simply, like, if you think of the military in a chain of command, or if you think of a corporate organization, we can't have a person in, say, a position that's supposed to be following orders to, put out a product, in quality control, just willy-nilly, changing and arbitrarily changing things that aren't coming from the top down. Now, of course, you want sometimes there to be bi-directional. You want the people who are doing the things, if they have an ability to make it better, to voice their opinion and bring that up the chain and stuff to come down the chain. But there is a point to hierarchies.
And roles. And having teamwork versus and collaboration versus just one person doing it all. Or
Yeah, that's really interesting because I identify with the doing it all.
Well, I think we all do. I think all three of us sitting here do. It's even down to the point where, it's just easier to do something, and you ask somebody to do something, and it's easier to do it yourself. Just because I'm like, I know how to do it. I'll do it. It'll be done the right way. It just will be so much like loading the dishwasher.
Right.
Yes, yeah, which definitely gets into like the fears of our parts. Why are these parts, for especially you and I, Robin, we're dressing up as polarized parts, right?
Yes.
So why do these parts dig their heels in and oppose each other so strongly? And it is this fear of what will happen if they lose that role, right? What would happen if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing? But when you lean in together, it actually works better.
So I had we had a couple friend, husband and wife, and the husband always used to have to say, why do I have to get involved? If the wife asked for help or we asked for help, he'd be like, why do I have to get involved? And I thought, wow, what quicker way to say, do not ask me for help.
Yeah.
What quicker way, or what, what does that say as a message? Why do I have to get involved? Like, are you not an active participant in your life? Are you not an active participant in this life? Are you lazy? Are you not capable? Like, I think it says so many things, but what initially comes off for a person who cannot ask for help, who's starting to ask for help, and then hearing that back, oh, I can't ask, like, I'm a burden. I can't ask for help. I have to do this on my own. No one will help me. Like that kind of gets almost reinforced. And one of the things that would happen, like as a joke, if, then my husband picked it up of like, why do I have to get involved? And I lost my mind every time that was said, because to me, it said that you're not an active participant in your life. And I'm a huge person about agency. And so even though he was doing it as a joke, talking about because it used to upset me so much, and he would do it like kind of as a joke.
Push a button.
Just to be like, oh, let's rile her up. She seems quiet and calm over there. Like the cat.
She doesn't have a wig on.
They like to do that.
Well, I feel like, when cats just walk up to another cat and smash the cat in the face, and then it's on.
Yeah.
A little bit of that. Probably bored.
Yes.
But it wasn't funny to me. And I think that's the person who doesn't ask for help often. Finally asking for help and being immediately resentful that help isn't being on. Like someone, your spouse is your partner. So like in that couple, I was, it was such a detriment that I didn't even find it funny. Even though 50% of the time he did it to be funny. And what a trigger that was for me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even my relationship.
See, that triggers me too, because I feel like I don't ask for help very often. And that inner critic of me feeling like, well, wait, why can't I do it? Like, why that insecurity of, but I also at the same time, you're supposed to be a team. You're supposed to balance each other out.
And then how does everyone like when I say right back, why am I doing it?
Right.
Why do I have to get involved?
Right.
Why am I doing this? Like, where are we going to be real quick when I'm also saying, like, or if that wife said,
Right.
Yeah.
she's not like, oh, can you help me bring in the groceries? Why do I have to get involved?
Yeah.
It's like,
Right.
why don't you go live in a field by yourself? Scarecrow, why don't you go out in the middle of a field?
Okay.
Lisa's getting triggered. Lisa's getting triggered.
Oh, even talking about it 10 years later
Yeah.
triggers me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, okay, what does that say about, because when we say half of the time he was joking, right? But the constant saying of it, even as a joke, was like, that's not funny anymore.
But then are you really,
that's
are
a
you
trigger.
joking? Are you just using it as, are you using sarcasm as a joke to really convey how you really feel?
Oh yeah, there was a
So
part
that's
of that
how I
too.
always feel like, why do I want to get, don't be bothered. Now
Yeah.
I'm, it makes me feel like I'm bothering you. I'm a burden. And then also is that insecurity of like, or just even shy to ask. Like I'm putting myself out there. I'm trying to connect with you, trying to help, do something together. And it's like, well, no, insignificant. I think that's what makes me feel. It would make me feel insignificant.
Yeah. And
Because I know what I give back,
Yeah.
like and what I'm willing to do to help. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And, it makes you wonder what part of him
Yes.
says that and where does it come from? Does it come from him not feeling like he has worth or contribution? Like, why do I have to get involved? I won't bring anything to the table.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Is it coming from that place, or is it coming from a more, which still would probably be rooted in insecurity, just more of a like, why do I need to get involved? Kind of I'm above
Arrogance.
that.
This. Yeah.
But that would probably be it would, if we chisel everything down, and that's the thing, especially with these polarized parts, most of the time when you chisel them down, they're both protecting the same part of you. They're both trying to protect a more vulnerable part of you.
Let's say our inner child or our wounded, the wounded parts of us. I think they show up to protect. Well, certainly Marilyn Monroe shows up, I think, to counterbalance the inner critic, because you have this belief in yourself, but I think where my insecurities came from, or my lack of worth, in where I became critical of myself because I think I wanted perfect. And I couldn't control much as a child. So I think that's where my OCD a little bit came from, or like having things in a perfect place, having my closet organized, having the ketchup always in the right spot, or having things set up a certain way so that I can move through my day with the least amount of resistance or opposition, if that makes sense.
It does.
So I'm like, okay, I can keep. And it was actually in order just to have control over, feeling like you have control over something, the way that you dress, or the way that, just little things, the way that I would make my bed in the mornings when I was a kid. I think just little things, because I felt like I never had control. And I don't remember growing up and having a lot of compliments or praise. It was always,
Any kind of like verbal.
did you get your homework done? Or, hey, I got an A on your test. That's great.
The
And it was
director
just kind of
critic.
just kind of a move on. And I felt like there was always something like, hey, I did that. Like once when I,
positive reinforcement.
yeah. I think part of where I think that courage that Marilyn started stepping in my life, well, I think she's always been there, because I always just went and did things and I was going to be a boss about it. Sports, whatever I applied myself to, I was willing to go down. I got a job when I was 15 and working right down the road at the elementary school. It was 2 miles away. And I came home we were sitting around the dinner table, and I just told my parents, hey, I got a job. And they're like, how are you going to get there? And I'm like, well, I can ride the bus, and I just need somebody to pick me up on your way home from work. It was like from 3 to 6. It was like a little after-school daycare thing. And it was like, it was a burden. I remember feeling like, wow, I just did something really good.
Really
Like,
confident,
I'm
really
watching-
brave.
And I'm watching my sister, they bought a car for her, and the engine blew up because she didn't change the oil or check any of the fluids or any of that stuff in it. So they ended up giving her one of her other cars. And I was like, hey, I was like, hey, look at me. I'm going to buy my own car. I'm going to do my own thing. And it was like, you would think, I think that inner child, that little girl was looking for, hey, I'm proud of you. And so I think that's where I kind of just went my own way and said, I only allow people in, but so far.
And it's almost like there's a lack of trust in people, or you can tell me if that's accurate, but it's almost like a lack of trust of like, hey, I believe this thing is a good thing. I'm being criticized for it. Now I don't know if I trust me or you, and maybe I'll just trust me, and I'm not going to trust you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And now maybe I don't trust others altogether because I don't know that you'll have my back.
Yeah.
Over a good decision. Like a teenager wanting to work on their own should always be fostered.
Yes.
And celebrated like Marilyn Monroe.
Yes.
Yes.
That was
like one of my
confident.
songs.
That was free. That was independent. And
You're contributing, you're participating, and without being noodled by a parent to do it, you know, that kind of thoughtfulness that you're thinking ahead.
Yes.
I think that was I'm really sad that was your response. That was the response to you.
Yeah, and I didn't know any different. You didn't know any different at the time because you didn't have something else to balance it out. Like all of my aunts and uncles, you're in the same environment or operating the same way.
I do think that's such a good point. So I remember thinking that everything was normal, and then you go out and see other people's houses, and then that shines a spotlight on what's not normal about your house.
Right.
And you're like, wow, we've got to keep that under wraps.
Like what's different? Yes.
the comparison.
Wow, do not let that come out. Wow. And I think that
No more sleepovers at my house, man.
I didn't have sleepovers at my house.
I thought we were normal.
I didn't have sleepovers at my house, and it was evident that we knew we were doing things like we were hiding something. We were hiding addiction, right? So you don't want more people around. So we were very hidden. Like we didn't. I remember staring at a china cabinet full of good china, and it's like we've never could we have Thanksgiving here or Christmas here or a holiday here or something and use this? We have thousands of, all this. What is this for? And not understanding until you get out into the world and you see how other people are interacting and you're like, oh, now this makes sense. Now it makes sense on why I'm not allowed to visit my paternal side of the family because that's going to shine a spotlight on how alone and isolated we are by how much camaraderie they have, how open they are, how many friends they have, how many people have been absorbed into their life as family. And it was like a distinct difference of what happens in here and then what happens out there are different things.
Yeah. Amazing. The shame, right? And hiding the shame. And that's what literally happens in our systems. We're hiding any of the guilt or the shame, or which may not even be legit or valid, but that's just that those feelings are so vulnerable, and that exposure to your family would be so vulnerable. We're just going to hide it. We're just going to push this. Really, we're going to bury this.
Yeah, this is behind locked doors.
Mm-hmm.
So my fixer, I believe, came from my mother had a drug addiction that was from my early childhood that just went unchecked until she passed. She had periods of time where she was sober or whatever the proper wording is for it, but they weren't long lived. And there was always this sort of belief that, well, if she loved you more or she loved your family more, or I think people do well, if there was more love or there was something, this would be fixed. And when you have no ability to fix it, you go around, what can I fix? I can't fix this very fundamental thing, but what can I fix? And part of it is a survival solution to, I need to fix my living situation. I need to fix my financial situation. I need to fix my family. I don't have this family, but I need to find some people around me that I can trust. Some adults that are trustworthy, all of that piece of it. And then I take a job that you're rewarded for fixing things. And then I don't understand what's not mine to fix. That has nothing to do with me and it's not mine to fix. And that's when I wonder, or because and And there was abandonment that went in there too, and how much of that gets triggered by the abandonment piece that, well, I will sacrifice myself in this situation.
So that I don't become abandoned again.
Because I can't be abandoned again.
But also a little bit too when we were all talking about who we were going to be. You know, a martyr, sometimes you will go out and try to fix something for somebody else to your own detriment. And I think we all have those pieces. You know, like we all have these. We're only talking about certain ones, at least ours. You know, can you just name a couple of other ones that people struggle up, like fear, anxiety?
Yeah, and that's usually what happens in the system by the parts. You know, there's usually a part that wants to restrict and a part that wants to be free. Right. That's kind of that, you know, so and it can be anything. It can be related to an addiction. Right. A part that wants to eat or a part that wants to drink or a part. Right. And then like a manager part like, no, you can't do that. Right. So there's often that dynamic and you can fit in so many different things. And it brings up a good point. How do we know when we have opposing parts, or how do we know when we have a part that's working to an extreme? And it usually is anxiety. It usually is an anxious feeling or a feeling of stuckness or a feeling of indecision. That's usually a nice indication or a signal like, okay, something's going on in here that I need to work to reharmonize and bring to balance.
And I think we always love talking about the duality. That you can hold both things simultaneously. You can be happy about something, but also sad about something else simultaneously. You can be a queen boss by also wanting to make sure people are happy. I can be a person who fixes problems while also
taking care of yourself.
While taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I would get my nails done and my hair done and a facial and all these things because I was paying for things. So that was taking care of myself. When really it was a bath or saying no or, you know, not like, I can't tell you how many times I will say, I really need to do computer work. And when I go out on the road and come back, the computer work is never the same because I've done too many things in the same day. And I really need a day to do nothing but computer work, but something will be like, it's the only day I can do it. Of the whole month, the only day is the one day you can't do it. And I will, oh, okay, well, you can't do it, so it has to get done, so I'll take my day. Like, and if you do that, it's okay to do that once in a while because you don't want to be so rigid that only my way or the highway takes place. Because I was told my whole entire life I was selfish.
So you got that message.
And I wasn't even doing selfish things yet.
Yeah.
I became selfish at some point.
Yes.
But I wasn't selfish when I was hearing, don't be selfish, don't be selfish, don't be selfish, don't be selfish.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow. I remember when my first therapist, Ken, was trying to figure out what was happening. And I was like, well, I don't want to be selfish. And he was like, how would doing that be like, how does those brain wires connect that doing something for yourself is selfish? And I was like, well, I'm always selfish. Everything I want is selfish. You know, all my desires and ideas and whatever are selfish.
Yes. Yeah. We're supposed to just be giving and serving. And so any receiving would be translated or a message of selfishness.
Yeah. And that's probably one of the things that in my 40s and 50s, I was like, wow, I really have to learn to be a better receiver. And that's, so I went out with my friend and she's like, let's get separate checks. And normally it's like, well, whatever, we'll just split it in half. I don't care that, you know, you might have more than me or I'm like, but I learned that, well, that's what will make her feel comfortable. So just do what she wants. If she wants to do separate checks, or if when someone wants to buy you dinner, I'm always like, are you sure? But then I just let them. And then if someone gives me a compliment, I try to receive it. Like there's times when it's like, all right, let me practice in these small ways for receiving so that I can get better at the big ways of receiving.
I think it's a really good point. I think we all struggle with it. Chris struggles with it too. You know, we go out to dinner and he's always wants to be the first one. And, you know, the guys are, you know, bickering over who's going to pay. And I'm like, but somebody's trying to give you a gift. Or even sometimes I'll give him a compliment and he'll just, whatever, you know, blow it off. But he's gotten a lot better over the year. And I'm the same way. Do they really mean that? because I don't feel that way about me sometimes. I think we all have low points and we all have high points where we feel confident. We have the good. That's the balance of it. Like we usually say, the duality, we can hold space for both of those. But I think being able to get still and learning who you are, and I don't think we take, as a society, I don't think we spend a lot of time understanding, why do I feel this way? Why am I doing this? Why is this a bad habit? We don't pick it apart and analyze ourselves.
Yes, there's a lot of outward focus rather than the inward focus. And that's internal family systems is all about introspection. You're going in, or intrapsychic is another word for it.
So you were talking about the anxiety that evokes. How much of and that's a millennial, every millennial has anxiety, right? When you hear them as and I'm saying that obviously as a broad painted statement, that's not true. But to say we didn't have the language to say we had anxiety growing up.
Right.
But now we have the language. And then how anxiety is perfectly normal, right? To be anxious about something. What are some good skills for helping yourself besides just medicating anxiety? When does medicating anxiety versus is the anxiety putting a spotlight on something you need to address?
Sometimes it is, right? Sometimes it is a signal. And I think taking the time to really understand, okay, what is this? If we stay in parts work and stay in that framework, why is this part working so hard in my system? Right? Because a little bit of anxiety, everybody always says, is great. That motivates you, puts a fire underneath you. It's not until you're like, my heart's about to beat out of my chest, right? And there's those discomfort or uncomfortable feelings. So taking the time to understand, what is its intention? What is its role? What does it need to calm down? Does it need a different perspective? Does it need a different practice? Does it need another action? And that wisdom can be accessed with just that exploration and that taking the time to get to know and understand it more. So depending on the person, is it that they're afraid of people? Are they afraid of failing? Are they afraid of making a mistake? Whatever it is, then you can see it and understand it and appreciate it. I appreciate you're working so hard in my system because you want to make sure that I don't look stupid in front of people. Got it. However, you're really causing me discomfort. What will it take for you to maybe calm down and step back? And sometimes it is, take a class on public speaking or something, whatever. Sometimes it can be a really unique thing that when it comes out of clients, I think to myself, I could never have come up with that. But it's there if we take the time.
Yeah.
It really
Even
is.
sometimes something as simple as, if we're using people, fear, being out in public, or challenge yourself to so Lisa said something to me. I just want to back up. Lisa said something to me that I've been repeating to myself when I feel anxious. She's like, what can I do today? What can I do today to fix? What can I do? And so if it's that fear of people, challenge yourself to go to the grocery store when you're out and about and actually smile or say hi to somebody. Something as simple as that. You don't have to go sign up for public speaking.
Yeah.
It can be simple little fixes.
Baby steps.
Yes.
And, yes. And they have a whole therapy called exposure therapy that forces you to expose yourself to whatever it is that you're afraid of.
Yeah, I was young and I backdoored into exposure because when I get really afraid of something, I would read about it so that I could calm down the fear. Because I loved swimming, loved the water, loved the ocean, and then I see Jaws. And now I'm like, well, now I'm never going in the water again. So then it was like, okay, start reading books, start seeing what's true from the movie, but I didn't know that's what I was doing until I was an adult. That I noticed the minute there's a problem, it's like, well, I'm going to start reading about it because the more informed I'll be, the more information I have. And then the parts of me that are afraid unnecessarily can be calmed down.
That's right. Knowledge is power. Information is power. So now they're informed and they realize that the statistics for sharks, bites or whatever is really low. And it calms your parts.
Right. And don't swim at dawn or dusk or there's extra things we can do.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
you know,
That's a great example of what that part would need.
right.
Like, learn about it. Yes, people who have health anxiety, sometimes that's what their part says. Like, just go to the doctor and find out more, you know, because otherwise your mind tries to fill in the
Yes.
blanks,
Yes.
right? It starts to fill in why you might be having the ailment.
Yeah. I think the worst thing for me is not knowing.
Yes.
Is
yeah.
being in that place of
The
uncertainty.
unknown.
Of just being in that uncertainty. You're waiting for a decision to happen, or, you know, you're in limbo. I don't like to be in limbo. I like to be in flow. Peace, happy. I should have been a cheerleader. My own cheerleader.
Yes.
You're my cheerleader, though,
Oh,
so you are.
I know.
That's sweet.
And how do you turn it on yourself?
Yeah.
Oh. I feel like I do. I set up my house. The colors, like you walk in, I set up my room. So even like when my eyes wake up and when I first open my eyes in the morning, there's this beautiful flower arrangement that makes me feel it's all these exotic tropical colors or tropical flowers. They're fake, but it has my favorite colors. So I draw peace in my space and making things beautiful. I feel like that's taking care of me, cooking good food for me, you know, taking care of my health and actually challenging myself to believe in myself more. I think that's how I am my own cheerleader.
Absolutely.
And I'm a little different. Like, I need to action myself into belief. A lot of times. So if I think I can't do something, the easiest way to believe that I can is to start doing it, even though I'm doing it improperly, imperfectly. I don't like it's the, for me, there's something about taking action that quells, maybe because I start getting out of my head and I start getting physically in my body. I have a real I can have a real disconnect. I can get out of my body pretty quickly. Which is why exercise is so important for my mental health specifically, because
Gets you in your body.
it pulls me right back into like, oh my God, I can't breathe. Oh my God, this hurts. Oh my God, my shin. Oh my God, my toe. Oh my God, my heart. And then everything sort of settles in, and then I am in my body, and then I'm in my body for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
That's why working out in the morning is better for me. And can we talk about dysregulation a little bit? What is the role of, or is there a role in IFS with dysregulation?
Well, the idea would be that there's a part working to an extreme. There's either a part working to an extreme or those two opposing parts, or it could be that you've been completely hijacked by a part, whether it's a wounded part or one of the managerial parts. Something is working to an extreme, because that's the idea, is that everything is trying to work to homeostasis and balance and harmony. And that's really their initial intention. But things get fired up, things get ignited or activated or triggered, as you had said earlier. And so how do you bring it back to balance? Does that make sense? And I think so many times dysregulation can be when a wound is hit. There's some sort of wound, and then there's a whole reaction in your body, including disassociating, right? That's a part. That's like, this is way too uncomfortable, I'm out of here. Or distraction, right? And again, it's all fine and balanced. Like, oh, I worked really hard, I just want like a second to just kind of check out. But we're talking when it's like you're completely disconnected. Everything is to that extreme. And but I'd say the dysregulation is definitely like a signal, like, ouch, something was just touched, and then then the system like is like, oh, that was vulnerable, that was uncomfortable, and being able to identify then how the whole system begins to respond to that. Does that make sense?
It does.
It does make sense.
And I was thinking, when you're doing like the work, right? You're going to touch that more often until you get a handle on it. And so what is a good way to kind of talk yourself through? Like, you're in a meeting at work, something happens, and you are now like almost spiraling like mentally in your head where you're not paying attention in the meeting. You don't hear someone just assign something to you. You're, and I know it sounds weird that it would be in a work setting, but we carry ourselves everywhere. And it could make an impact at work where you're supposed to be doing these things and now you're procrastinating because you're now feeling dysregulated and you can't get yourself organized or bring yourself back to a task. Because I think the corporate structure is a weird place too. And if you're, for example, if you're always doing what you know is against best intentions for a company or a location because they're like making management changes or doing some of these things, and now you're like, oh, I know this is distinctly wrong or something, and now you're spiraling because you're now made to do something that you tried 3 months ago, but everyone forgot you tried it, and it it turned your site into a disaster or something. Like I think of what's a good way. Like I immediately think, well, like take a deep breath. Like all right, am I sitting properly? Can I breathe into my diaphragm? Take a deep breath, slow my breath down, try to calm myself down. But it's hard in the moment.
Yeah, the breath is an amazing shortcut. And you're right. It is hard in the moment. And there's tools and there's tricks and there's different things that we can talk about, counting to 10, naming different things in the room. There's a red light, there's a flag. There's many different grounding techniques, and it's always good to know them and find out what works for you. In IFS language, it would be what can access self with a capital S. So remember, that's the energy that's calm, confident, courageous. I can do this, right? Curious, creative, connected, compassionate. Oh, there's always one that I leave out. There's 8, but there is always one. I feel like there's someone listening that's like, blah, blah, blah. Anyway,
I think
it's in my book.
I think I wrote it down,
Yes,
too.
I know. And there's always one. But anyway, you get the idea.
Yeah.
So we are all born with self with a capital S. And even, this is a really cool thing to think about, all of our parts have a little bit of self in them, too, even the ones that are dysregulated. So how do we build that? How do we have access to that? And that is something that definitely comes with intention and learning, so that in that meeting you can access that, whether it's putting your hand on your heart, whether it's feeling, because when you're in a meeting, right, you're kind of watched, right? You can't do as many, you can't do like jumping jacks or something. Although maybe you could with a running man. But there's like different things you can do, like bringing your attention to your feet. That's something very grounding to me. If I just bring my energy down to my feet and feel the floor against my feet. But breath, I always go back to breath, because that sometimes I can literally feel the palpable shift of connecting with self energy by just noticing the inhale, noticing the exhale. It kind of can pull you away. Because chances are, let's say the boss has done something, or they've identified something you've done, or a mistake that you've made, you start spinning, right? And the stories start spinning. So when we can connect to something else, connect to our breath, connect to the floor, connect, look at something else that can help balance that out and prevent the spiral.
Because I just got into this with someone when they were saying like, oh, we just went through this thing. The last time I spoke up, I was chastised for speaking up. I was right. Now we're doing the same exact thing we did 3 months ago. We're just putting a different outfit on it. And I know it's going to fail again. And so there was this, sort of spiraling, and legitimately so, your performance is based on this and all of that. And then it turns into postponing the work you need to do because you don't really believe in it. There's all kinds of things going on with it. And it's like, this is real life stuff every day, but we are bringing, just like those people who are enacting that in the meeting, they forgot that they did the same thing that didn't work 3 months ago because they really want it to work, and they don't believe that it doesn't work. So they're just cloaking it in something else, and they're going to try to ram it through again. So like everyone is bringing their parts, because maybe that boss doesn't like being wrong.
Everybody's bringing their parts. Yeah. And you realize how hot career and jobs are, because it's in our society. It's so much of your identity too. So it's just so vulnerable. unless you have a corporation that honors like having a sense of safety and the ability to be criticized or have feedback and still feel safe and still feel confident in your worth and value, which, you know,
So I would love to talk about, so it doesn't even have to be about work. I was just listening.
Yeah.
You think about how many parents carry the stress and worry of their kids, their teenagers, or even their relationship, and how they. So I was thinking, like, sitting at the meeting and you've had an argument with your spouse, or you're at odds, or your finances are, you know, in chaos. You're worried about money or your relationship, but you're bringing that to work with you too. And so what are tools that we can equip people with? Like, that's what I want. That's what I want our listeners to, when it is hard to, like, you can't get up and go for a walk.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I spent 3 hours leaf blowing just to move energy, and I'm like, I'm cleaning and I'm making it beautiful, and
You're
so
organizing and keeping things less
yes,
chaotic.
I'm contained.
That
for me,
calms your
so.
system.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, and then I'm like, Chris is like, "You gonna come in?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just gonna go get the backyard. You know, it's all the way down past. You know, it's in the woods." And he's like, "I don't see anybody leaf blow our woods." I'm like, well, it's mulch back there, so
You're leaf blowing the entire forest.
yes.
It's so funny because I remembered the 8th C because of what you said, compassion. Compassion is the 8th C. So you just set me up, Robin. And, you know, thinking about a parent, worrying about a child, bringing that into work, not being able to focus, having that sense of self-compassion, right? Having that, like, you know, like, I get it. You're balancing a lot right now. You're worried about your family, but yet you have to be focused here. I feel like that's a gentle shift that can happen. Because if you start speaking of polarized parts, if you have a part that's like, you should be focusing right now, you should be paying attention, right? That's going to create the
Yes.
tension
Yes.
rather than like, totally get it. You are still carrying what happened before work because you're a human being,
Right.
and you're a mama bear, and you have a mama bear part that's worried about your kids right now, you know, or whatever it is. So that's one internal way. Like I think I brought up, I'm sure I did in the first one, Kristen Neff. She's big about self-compassion. I cannot enforce self-compassion enough. Just that tool alone, compassion for yourself, compassion for your parts, is like a softening, an immediate softening instead of the judgment or the criticism.
Do you think as a society we're becoming less compassionate? Or do you think we're becoming more compassionate?
Gosh, it's a really good question. And I hate to say it, but it probably depends, right? In some ways, people are building it. And, you know, whether it's built like as a spiritual muscle in communities, or it's, you know, you hope that that's something that is being spread. We are in a really divisive time now, so it's hard to know how much compassion, you know, I mean, are we even listening to, I mean, we can go down a whole road, but it brings us back to our parts, because that's how you can help calm these parts is by listening to them, by seeing them,
Yes.
understanding them, hearing them. Because isn't that usually what it is? And is that happening right now? Are we hearing different stances? Are we seeing different stances? Are we listening? It's really hard because there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of power struggles too. Right?
What's a good way to make sure we are hearing to understand?
Good way to see that we're hearing to understand. You know,
Because don't we have, you're telling me something, but isn't my brain be like, blah, 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 blah?
that's true. Well, there's being in the present moment, right? Whoops, I just dropped my book and pad. All right. There's being in the present moment, right? So that's the, like, okay, how do I try to be present and not have my mind in 5 different places? So that's one thing. But then I also heard I was thinking in relationship, whether it's relationship with yourself and a part, or whether it's relationship with someone else, the practice of coming to it with neutrality, curiosity, and compassion. You know, just trying to get to a place. Because a lot of times we have that hidden agenda going on. And can we just relax into like a open, neutral, curious, compassionate place? And then I think that's when we start to understand.
Yeah.
So I think I've said it a few times. I feel like what helps me to detach and to hear what is being said is, what is the author? If you look at, everybody is writing their own story and everybody's an author. What is this author trying to tell me? Because a lot of times, we get into a conversation and somebody will say a word or something that triggers something in us. And now our emotions are involved, or our emotions have gotten sparked. And it's now you're not listening to them. You're listening about how it makes you respond, how it makes you feel, and not what is actually being said.
Yeah.
So I always think about, what is the author trying to tell me? If you look at everybody as an author or a movie director, because we are writing our own movie.
That's
We're
true.
writing our story.
That's true. Yeah, it's a beautiful way, and I think it's kind of has a compassionate angle as well, because you're trying to understand what message they're trying to get across. What is the goal of what they're saying, which
Right.
is essentially where they're coming from, right?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not about you at that point.
Right.
Ooh,
It usually never is.
Yeah, you are listening to Lisa and Robin on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and tune in on WSMN.live. We're going to go to the top of the hour, but stay tuned. We are celebrating internal family systems with Jen Carey, and we will be back to continue this conversation.
Yay.